Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everyone, wherever is your time zone. And you are now here at the FCOT Peace Innovation page. And our topic for today is about the SDGs, an explanation, and it will help us on the objective, which is the moral governance and peaceful leadership dialogue. So, these are several SDG talks series. But for now, for the sake of achieving our objective on moral governance and peaceful leadership, we will talk about Goal 9, Industry, Innovation, and Infrastructure. Then Goal 10, Reduce Inequality. Goal 16, Peace and Justice, Strong Institutions. Then Goal 17, Partnership to achieve the goal. So as I said, this will serve as background info for the moral governance and peaceful leadership online recovery and goals dialogue. So for further questions, you can ask me and message me about this. So I will read to you what is it, what are SDGs, and then also how we can implement it and use it to our governance and leadership. Okay. I will just lower down the volume. Okay. So this material that I have right now, Partnering for Sustainable Development Guidelines for Multi-Stakeholder Partnerships to Implement the 2030 Agenda in Asia and the Pacific. Okay. Okay, it is copyrighted under United Nations University Institute for the Advanced Study of Sustainability and, of course, the United Nations. Okay. So, I will just read to you the foreword of the material. Okay. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development requires close collaboration among stakeholders. The scale, scope, and complexity of the economic and social transformation that this agenda requires is such that no one sector, government, business, civil society, or academia will be able to manage the transformation alone. Implementing the 2030 Agenda requires constructive and inclusive cooperation among all groups of society, and multi-stakeholder partnerships will play a key role in delivering a prosperous future for all people, one of the tenets of the 2030 Agenda. Multi-stakeholders partnerships can unleash innovative ways of working, mobilizing expertise and difficult-to-reach resources, and creating shared accountability in increasingly complex world. A real opportunity exists to develop new approaches to partnering in order to achieve things together that could never be achieved alone. Each sector has a valuable role to play, but it is in collaboration that real transformation happens. Building partnership models which are long lasting, scalable, and transformative will be key to deliver the benefits of sustainable development to all. The world is already witnessing how traditional boundaries between sectors become blurred, with governments civil society, business, academia, and other stakeholders, acquiring a wider governance role in delivering the 2030 Agenda. In a world which is increasingly characterized by uncertainty and economic and social transformations, there are new opportunities and new roles for all stakeholders and increasingly a shared sense of responsibility in achieving the kind of world in that we envision for the Sustainable Development Goals. So, in answering the call of the 2030 Agenda and of Sustainable Development Goal for revitalizing the global partnership for sustainable development, the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, or ESCAP, and the United Nations University Institute for the Advanced Study of Sustainability partnered to develop the present Partnering for Sustainable Development Guidelines for multi-stakeholders. Okay, the guidelines laid out in this publication provide practical guidance, okay, and on how to implement. This also highlights some of the challenges and opportunities for multi-stakeholders partnership. The interdependence of the Sustainable Development Goals and the universality and indivisibility of the 2030 Agenda generates complexities in terms of institution building and policy making. But they also create opportunities for innovation and provide space for new collaboration. It is hoped that these guidelines will help governments and other stakeholders in the region foster the necessary alliances to respond to these complexities. Okay, maybe I can just pause this PDF file so that you can also study it because it's a long file report and guidelines on how you can also do your own dialogue, multi-stakeholders dialogue as much as possible. Meaning all sectors are invited and all sectors are present so that we can talk about and discuss and also dissect on the SDGs. So, in my own strategy and formula, I categorize the SDGs by achieving it through four formats of org dialogues or online recovery goals dialogues. And this one focuses on moral leadership and moral governance and peaceful leadership, wherein we will dissect the 17 SDGs, just focusing on Goal 16, Goal 17, Goal 9, and Goal 10. So, since it's a very long discussion, I will talk about Goal 17 in one video and then I will cut it and then proceed to the next video and then cut it again until we end all the four SDGs that I mentioned a while ago. Okay. If you notice, I am reading it as is because these are already guidelines that we can talk about. And of course, this is not ideally, this is what we wanted to achieve. But there is a requirement for a multi-stakeholders dialogue in order to know what is lacking and what is not attainable. So that is the reason why I am inviting all sectors in the org dialogues in order for us to dissect, to see, to discuss, to elaborate, to brainstorm on how we can include this in our planning, policy making, and also if you find the guidelines useful to your organization also in achieving our target of having a good life by 2030, if you see the 17 SDGs, it is really very, very ideal. And it requires a practical application that we can only see if we discuss it and elaborate it and dissect it to several sectors who are really on the ground. Okay. So let me read to you now and discuss the details of the goal number 17, which is to strengthen the means of implementation and revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development. Okay. That is the objective. Okay. And to my own analysis, I'm also doing this because as part of the Peace Vigil, wherein our objective is to uh, make people work for peace and to manage conflict and solve conflict by not killing each other. And that is our solution to end terrorism. So I see the SDG as a solution to end terrorism. That's why we are supporting this program. We are working on this program and we are announcing all activities about the Sustainable Development Goals through our news and media network, the Wellness Pilipinas International. So, how do we solve the terrorism using the Partnership for the Goals number 17? Because it will strengthen the means of implementation and revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development. And how does it work? By using the guides of the number 17 objectives and details, then we can also include it to develop and strengthen the moral governance and peaceful leadership. Why? How? Number one, strengthen domestic resource mobilization, including through international support to developing countries to improve domestic capacity for tax and other revenue collection. Number two, develop countries to implement fully their official development assistance commitments, including the commitment by many developed countries to achieve the target of 0.7% of ODA and GNI to developing countries and 0.15 to 0.20% of ODA GNI to least developed countries. ODA providers are encouraged to consider setting a target to provide at least 0.20% of ODA GNI to least developed countries. Number three, mobilize additional financial resources for developing countries from multiple sources. Number four, assist developing countries in attaining long-term debt sustainability through coordinated policies aimed at fostering debt financing, debt relief, and debt restructuring as appropriate and address the external debt of highly indebted poor countries to reduce debt distress. Adopt and implement investment promotion regimes for least developed countries. And under technology, number six, enhance north-south, south-south, and triangular regional and international cooperation on and access to science, technology, and innovation, and enhanced knowledge sharing on mutually agreed terms, including through improved coordination among existing mechanisms, in particular at the United Nations level, and through a global technology facilitation mechanism. Number seven, promote the development, transfer, dissemination, and diffusion of environmentally sound technologies to developing countries on favorable terms, including on concessional and preferential terms as mutually agreed. Number eight, fully operationalize the technology bank and science, technology, and innovation capacity building mechanisms for least developed countries by 2017. Okay, so it's been ongoing. Actually, the SDG, if you see the introduction of SDGs, it was um, initiated way back in 2015, and then also been going 2016, and then has been going on until now, until the 2030. So enhance the use of enabling technology, in particular information and communications technology. Capacity building. Number 9, enhance international support for implementing effective and targeted capacity building in developing countries to support national plans to implement all the sustainable development goals, including North-South, South-South, and triangular cooperation. Under trade, promote a universal rules-based, open, non-discriminatory, and equitable multilateral trading system under the World Trade Organization, including through the conclusion of negotiations under its Doha Development Agenda. Number 11, significantly increase the exports of developing countries, in particular with a view to doubling the least developed countries' share of global exports by 2020. So this was done in 2016. These are the targets last year for 2020. And then the rest are ongoing work and targets until 2030. Number 12, realize timely implementation of duty-free and quota-free market access on a lasting basis for all least developed countries, consistent with World Trade Organization decisions, including by ensuring that preferential rules of origin applicable to imports from least developed countries are transparent and simple and contribute to facilitating market access. Systematic issues, the policy and institutional coherence. Number 13, enhance global macroeconomic stability, including through policy coordination and policy coherence. Number 14, enhance policy coherence for sustainable development. And number 15, respect each country's policy, space, and leadership to establish and implement policies for poverty eradication and sustainable development. Multi-stakeholders partnerships. Number 16, enhance the global partnership for sustainable development, complemented by multi-stakeholder partnerships that mobilize and share knowledge, expertise, technology, and financial resources to support the achievement of the sustainable development goals in all countries, in particular the developing countries. Number 17, encourage and promote effective public, private, and civil society partnerships, building on the experience and resourcing strategies of partnerships. On data monitoring and accountability, number 18, enhance capacity building support to developing countries, including for less developed countries and small island developing states, to increase significantly the availability of high quality, timely, and reliable data, disaggregated by income, gender, age, race, ethnicity, migratory status, disability, geographic location, and other characteristics relevant in national context. So by 2030, build on existing initiatives to develop measurements of progress on sustainable development that complement gross domestic product and support statistical capacity building in developing countries. So, uh, um, these are guidelines, but then in the multi-stakeholders meeting and dialogue, we we will have a more direct grasp, clear actions and activities and reactions that is now currently on the ground, because the sectors are the one who are doing the work directly to their constituents, to their people. So this is the reason why we need to have a dialogue, because of what is happening as side effects of the pandemic since 2019, 2020, up to this year. So, what is going on? Is there a chance for us to achieve the 2030 goal of sustainable development? Is what are the challenges that we face in partnering with this goal of the UN, and what is happening on the ground in your sector? And that is the reason why we are encouraging the org dialogues. And as I said, we we actually focused on dissecting the SDGs and focusing on our objective, okay? And this number 17 falls under the moral governance and peaceful leadership as a guide. Now, in the course of the dialogue and in the course of us doing the brainstorming on the multi-sectors, then we would know what is your take and how do you see, and how do we really achieve that moral governance. Is it a necessity right now, especially that we are under pandemic? We have side effects of the pandemic, and we don't know what will be the next